Listener discretion is advised. The RPGeek Podcast is made by friends with varying opinions, political, and religious beliefs. Nothing we say should be taken as an attack on anyone or anything in particular. In addition, we like to say naughty words and make jokes that may come off as offensive to some people. Please enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of Discussions with the RPGeek Podcast. It's just me and Ryan again today, and we are going to continue our discussions on food. And, maybe we'll veer off and go off on a tangent, but who knows? We did pretty well.
We did pretty well.
So, yeah, if you haven't seen part 1, link will be in the description for everybody, and, or seen, listened, whatever, it's a podcast. You can look at it. But anyway, so... yeah, we were talking about food. We discussed pizza toppings. We discussed appetizers. We talked a lot about ice cream and dairy and lactose issues.
My unholy obsession with ice cream.
Yep. Mentioned cookies and Pop-Tarts and all sorts of good things.
Yep.
But let's move on. We'll continue. I'm still in the mood to talk about food.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk more about things like what kind of shows, like cooking shows or things on the Food Network do you watch?
So my favorite cooking show, hands down, is Cutthroat Kitchen with Alton Brown. It's very much like, have you ever seen it?
I've seen an episode or two.
So, they have a dish they have to make within a certain time period, like all cooking shows.
Mm-hmm.
But they have these caveats. You start with money. And so I think it's like 25,000 or something, and you can buy these, like, you'll come out with something that's horrible, like they're making a dessert and you need an oven, or if they're making like a dish based on an oven, he'll bring out this like trap where it's like whoever buys this can give it to any one of their opponents, and all they can cook with is an easy bake oven. Like,
that's brutal, dude.
It's stuff like that. So
some say that contestant is still cooking to this day.
Yeah, there was one where like they were making like a really like high course dish, but they could only cook it using the bottom side of their pans. Like, you couldn't use the actual.
So like if you had a cookie sheet,
so
you had to flip the pan over.
And if you had like a frying pan, you had to flip it over. If you had like a pot of water, you had to flip it over. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So, but and people will dump a lot of money in it. There's these like bid periods where people can auction on it, but if you win the competition, depending on how much you spent is what you leave with. So instead of winning 25 grand, you start with 25 grand and you have to spend it or not spend it. And whatever is at the end is what you win.
Interesting.
But it's really interesting because it'll be like you got to bake like a cake, right? Mm-hmm. Whoever wins this, their next opponent can't use eggs.
Okay.
Like, and stuff like that, where it's just like they got to find a substitute, or like, oh, you got to make bread, but you can't use flour. Like, and it's like, well, what do I do? And some of these are hilarious because the judge that comes down and judges them after can't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like, they're not allowed to know what happened. So you see some of the reactions on these judges' faces, like, what is this?
Yeah. What are you giving me?
Or like one of them I remember specifically was like they had to make soup, but one of the traps was they had to make a vat of soup, but they were only allowed to use those singular egg like pans, the ones that are like 2 inches around and they're tiny.
Oh, okay.
They got like 20 of them, but they had to make an entire batch of soup in like 20 of these little like egg frying pans.
That's
and
crazy.
It was hilarious. There was one, like they sometimes do like a team one.
Yeah, I think the one that I saw was a team effort.
Yeah, like they'll do like, one of the rounds would be like a team effort, and like they had this one where the team could use any source of heat that was not like in the kitchen, so they had to use like they had to use like matches or like mirrors, or they had to use like try to figure
out a magnifying glass of the sun.
Yeah, they had to do all these like weird different ones, and it was actually really funny.
I mean, at that point, if I'm given $25,000, right, and somebody's like, you have to cook with an easy bake oven, I'm heading to like an AutoZone or whatever, and I'm just buying a car battery. I'm cutting the wire on the easy bake oven, splitting it, and I now have the world's greatest easy bake oven.
For that, what's really impressive is when you see somebody win the whole competition, but they've only spent like a couple grand on traps. Like, they know, like, I'm good enough to compete with anything. Yeah. Like, and those are really impressive people.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I like that in concept.
Yeah, no, it's actually really funny. In Alton Brown, he's kind of like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Yeah, he's a mad scientist when it comes to food.
I used to love his, what was it, Good Eats? Yeah. Was his show? Yep. I used to love watching that.
Because the interesting about Alton Brown versus like all the other celebrity chefs is he's actually a scientist. Yeah. So like he takes chemistry and actually shows how food is chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Cooking is just chemistry, but delicious.
Yeah. So, but since he's like this mad, twisted scientist, it's really funny. I remember one time, like, everybody had like frying pans. And like the option came down to one of these frying pans that looked mangled, like it got bent by like this big dude or run over by like a truck. Like somebody got stuck with that to cook with. And it's just like, you see all these like vices people ended up getting, like all these traps, and it's hilarious. It's like, what is that game we play? Like Ultimate Horse Chicken?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but except cooking.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, you have an end goal that you have to meet, but you get all these like little like traps in between.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's probably gonna be my favorite one personally.
That's a really creative idea. Like, as far as like shows on like the Food Network or like cooking shows and things like that, I'm not so much into the competitions. Like, I watched the entire first season of MasterChef.
I like Chopped too.
I love Chopped. Yeah. That's the one. Like, Chopped is a party game.
Yeah.
Like,
it really is.
Like, especially if you have people who know how to cook. Yeah. Even like if I was given a basket of stuff and everybody else was given the same basket of stuff, I would go up against your brother, who is a professional, as we mentioned, is a professional chef. Because at that point, you're thinking on your toes. Sure, he has the technique and the experience and everything, but I'm a wild card at that point. Yeah. It's like, just,
and it makes everybody a wild card, which is fun.
Exactly. So, like, if you have the space to do it, I think Chopped parties are like the next cool thing to do. Like, I would happily do that.
I think the other show that I'm super into right now, actually, because they just dropped the 3rd season for it, it's on Netflix. It's Barbecue Showdown. That one is awesome.
I love all the barbecue shows. Those are the competitions that I like.
When I was drinking at one point, I was watching that show for the first time, and I'd recently got a smoker, and it's January. Like, it is freezing, and I was like, I can go do this. Yeah. And my smoker is not like a pellet smoker. It's like an actual wood smoker. You got to control all the vents and everything. I was not functional enough to do that. Yep. But I was like, I got this.
I've never eaten more in my life than when I was watching Man vs. Food.
Man vs. Food. That
the original run of Man vs. Food with Adam. I used to watch that in college, and then I would go into my cabinets and I'd be like, I'm just going to cook all of this. Didn't matter what it was. I'm just going to make something using all of this. Yeah. And I would just eat it. Like, I had to stop watching Man vs. Food because I, like, as much, that's not a goal to aspire to. The guy literally has health problems now because of a lot of it.
I'm surprised Adam got through that many seasons before having health problems.
Well, so he was on a strict diet and things like that. A lot of his health problems stemmed from the frequency and the, eventually that's going to catch up to you.
Yeah, of course. Especially when you're eating like 72 ounce steaks and you got to eat in 2 hours.
The most disgusting thing he ever ate was that gigantic hamburger where it was like a team of 30.
Yes.
That was the most.
I saw that.
I love hamburgers. I was immediately disgusted when I saw all of that meat on that giant patty.
Some of the competitions that he's done it brings me back to that scene in Matilda.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, nah.
There was one that he did, which was like the
spicy wing one.
The spicy wings.
And he was like drowning himself in milk after.
He like threw up after because he drank so much milk mixed with the capsaicin. Like, milk is good for those of you who eat spicy food. Dairy and milk and things like that, they do drown out capsaicin, but you have to remember that after a certain amount of milk, your body's going to reject it,
and that mixed with capsaicin that's already irritating your stomach.
Yeah,
I learned that last night.
Yeah, it's a very you want to hope that it comes out one end, but it's probably going to come out the other end. Yeah, so you get twice the flavor, half the calories. But the second flavor is not as good.
It was a good show though. It was a fun show to watch.
I didn't like the new guy. when they did replace him.
I don't think I even got to that point.
He looked like a Wookiee, like with his like he seemed like a really nice. He seemed like the guy you would go out and get a beer with, like a really nice guy. But like he just didn't have the personality that Adam did. Adam kind of had that like rock star personality,
that showman.
Very showman, rock star personality. This guy just seemed like like he was your buddy in college that you'd be like, hey man, you got to do that challenge and try and get a free meal.
Gotcha.
Like that's what he seemed like.
I was never really big into the diners, drive-ins, and dives.
I love diners, drive-ins, and dives.
It was good, but like I was just never into Guy Fieri.
See, that's the thing, dude. I love Guy Fieri. He's so wacky. Like I know a lot of people don't like him, and there's reasons to like somebody. There's reasons not to like somebody. You know, it's neither here nor there.
I think it was just like the fact that like being in a family that has a lot of like foodies. Like professional food makers. I feel like he became a celebrity chef, but I don't feel like you could stand on 10 toes with a lot of people out there.
He's good at what he does. He's definitely got that showman personality, and his catchphrases are fantastic. I guarantee he's either high or drunk half the time.
Oh, probably.
If you're looking for like a Gordon Ramsay or even like a Bobby Flay kind of thing, he's not that.
No.
He's definitely the celebrity chef. Like if you look up celebrity chef, he's that.
Oh yeah.
But if you look up like traditional chef and things like that, that's where you get your Gordon Ramsay, your Mario Batali, and all that. I mean,
Gordon Ramsay is a celebrity chef.
He has become one, but through his training and everything.
Even before then, I mean, he was a Michelin star chef before he became like popular.
So so I love the Michelin star thing. When I found out that it's actually the tire company that does it is hilarious. But I also found out that literally anybody can become a Michelin star chef.
You can.
You don't even have to have a restaurant.
You can, but there is criteria that you have to meet to get to it, but you also have to pay for it as well.
Yes, it's a club that you buy into.
Yeah.
And it's based on the different stars is based on your performance, what it comes up to. But you don't need, one of the criteria is you don't even have to have a restaurant.
No,
you can just be like a home chef. But you're just like, I just want this. Like you're paying for something for these guys to come out and taste your food. But like, imagine doing like working at like a festival or a fair and just being like, yep, Michelin star chef making, homemade Hot Pockets.
But I mean, his extensive training and knowledge to the food industry at least backs where he got, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There are some out there that like became like these celebrity chefs that are just on food shows, but they're not chefs.
Yeah. Like Jamie Oliver.
Yeah. And so like I'm
calling you out.
But like I'm just like, so that's where like the Food Network for me, it's fun. But in some parts, I'm like being that I've been around the food industry a lot, like I know some really insanely talented people that could outdo half of these freaking people.
Yeah.
Then I'm just like, eh. Like Bobby Flay was a huge celebrity chef name. And don't get me wrong, he's got a lot of training and everything like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've met chefs that could.
You ever watch Beat Bobby Flay? Or are familiar with it?
Yeah.
Just a competition where he'll just challenge random people to things. He's lost more than he's won.
Yeah.
Like he's a good chef, and he's a celebrity and everything. And he's
also an Iron Chef.
And he's an Iron Chef, but Iron Chef is also a thing where it's a competition.
Yeah, but I think old school Iron Chef, like late 90s, early 2000s, like
the first one that came to America, or the one before that?
Well, even the Japanese one. The Japanese one and like the early American one, that was like real talent. That was ridiculous talent.
I mean, everybody laughs about it, but Mario Batali and his orange Crocs, like
he's really good.
He is. I think he did something that wasn't cool.
I can't recall.
But I always like, for whatever reason, when you look up old episodes of Iron Chef, none of his are on there. So he pissed somebody off.
I forget his name right now, but he was, I think Yokohama or something.
Morimoto, I think.
Yeah, Morimoto. Morimoto is now really popular on social media for hanging out with his son. Yeah, his son will bring him like these random things. Like he'll bring him like Hot Pockets or something. He's like, "Can you make this gourmet?" He was like, "Yeah," and like and he just like takes all these things. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of his foods that like his son will bring him, he's like, "Hey, let's try this." He got really popular and really trendy on social media because his son was buying all the like the $300 fruits from Japan, and bringing them to him and say, "Hey, can you make me something out of this?" But right now, he's like super popular because his son will bring him like these random things. Like he'll bring him McDonald's and be like, "Can you make this gourmet?" Now, at the end of it, it's like a gourmet dish with McDonald's mentioned, kind of thing, or Hot Pocket mentioned kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he has done some really cool work on there.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, he's getting popular. He's actually a really like cool dude on like, at least, we don't see like the actual side of him, but you would see the really serious like side of him on Iron Chef.
Sure.
And now you see this kind of like goofy dad side of him on social media, and I'm like, that's kind of cool.
I think that's the side of people that I like the most.
Yeah.
You know, is whenever Gordon Ramsay does like the home cooking videos, because he has a YouTube channel, he does all those.
He does those really well,
and he gets his kids and his family in on it. Like that's a lot of that's really cool to me, because for me, you know, a lot of the cooking stuff that I've done has been with my family.
Yeah, of course.
So just seeing it's one of those weird things where it's like, I'm pretty sure everybody's family has cooked together at one point. Yeah. You know, for the most part. But like seeing other families do that, it's like, I don't want to say heartwarming, because I think that dilutes the word heartwarming. But it's like, it's nice to see that.
Well, you know, and like I have an aunt, and I've asked a lot of different people. I don't think I've ever actually asked my brother what inspired him to want to cook.
It was the hot dog in the microwave.
Yeah. His first words are actually French fry. So, I mean, he was kind of born to do this.
My first words I can't utter here.
But he...
Fire truck.
But with that, like, you know, even my aunt, and I've asked a few people this, like, why do they aspire to be cooked? And it's never like a celebrity chef. It's never that. It's because they cooked with their family, their grandmothers, their grandfathers, you know, their parents. Like, I feel like family aspires a lot of people to want to become chefs.
Well, if you look at a lot of the female chefs on like Food Network or whatever, there's a very famous older lady named Lydia. I can't think of her last name. She's an old Italian lady.
Okay.
And she's on the PBS and everything, doing all these cooking shows. She used to do the show with her mother, and she used to cook with her mother everything growing up, and she's got this like wholesome grandma thing going on.
Gotcha.
Where people will like tweet at her and be like, "Hey, look at the thing that I made based on your recipe. This is, what do you think?" And she's a very sweet lady, but a lot of them, they always talk about, I used to cook with my grandmother, I used to cook with my mother, and things like that. And cooking is, no matter who you are, if you cook with somebody else, it's
a love language.
Yeah, love language. That's the perfect word for it. Yeah. Cooking is just, it's something, there's something intimate about it, and not intimate in a romantic way. It could be, but there's something intimate about cooking with somebody else.
Oh, 100%. And I think, believe it or not, I think the movie
Ratatouille is a perfect example.
Literally put that to an amazing light. Like,
although, you know, rats can't throw up, and at one point the guy's soup was so bad it broke physics and made Remy throw up.
Yeah, no, I like some cooking shows. One of my favorite was what was that? Oh yeah. So the old seasons of Top Chef.
Top Chef's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember like some of the old seasons of Top Chef, they would actually like split like the remainder people into like teams, and they had to make their own restaurant from like the ground up and everything. And I was like, that's so cool.
That's neat. I want a cooking show where it's a cooking competition, right? But everybody leading up to the actual tournament competition is being trained. So like you get like 2 weeks of training, and that's all recorded. You know, so you're getting to know these people. They're very friendly with one another. Everybody's helping each other out. And at the end of the 2 weeks, the tournament begins.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, everybody may not be on an even playing field. Yeah. But you're much closer. Because you watch like MasterChef and things like that, and everybody kind of starts on an even playing field for the most part. Yeah. And as it goes on, people keep getting better and better and better. Yeah. You know, to the point where the first season of MasterChef came down to these two young kids, and one of them decided he was going to make, what is it? Beef. What's the thing that Gordon Ramsay always makes? I'm drawing a blank.
Not Wellington.
Beef Wellington.
Oh, it is beef Wellington.
He was trying to make Gordon's Beef Wellington. And I think he actually cooked it faster than Gordon did. So that was an improvement on it. He just lost because of some reason.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched that.
Yeah, gotcha.
But like that's really like that's cool is watching the progression of everybody. But if everybody starts really close to the same level where they're all being trained carefully, you know, they're allowed to make the mistakes without fear of being sent home, and they basically go through a boot camp and then they go into that tournament.
Because you could almost take like Worst Cooks in America right now, and do that with it.
I actually really enjoy Worst Cooks in America. It makes me feel.
I've seen some.
It makes me feel great about my cooking. But on the flip side, MasterChef Kids, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
When you see a 7-year-old being able to cook like something on the level of a professional chef, and they're just 7, and you're just like, "Fuck you, kid!" Kid's like, "This is beef tartare," and
right.
Go shit up a rope.
I will say though, I do enjoy Hell's Kitchen.
I like Hell's Kitchen.
That one, me and the wife will like to watch. Hell's Kitchen's really good, but
have you been to the restaurant?
I have not.
Me neither. I've heard it's very good.
I think the new season is there. I think that's where they're filming the new season.
Yeah,
is that new one?
That's cool.
And I know the ticket prices have gotten outrageous.
Oh, of course.
So, but what is it? My favorite of all time, forever, will be Kitchen Nightmares.
Yes, dude. And they're coming out with new episodes.
Yes, back in the U.S.
Back in the U.S.
And I like the U.S. ones. The European ones are okay.
Yeah, but you got to watch Gordon Ramsay blow a fucking gasket, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best.
It's the best.
Some dickhead from New Jersey is going up against Gordon Ramsay. It's the best.
And I don't care if it's a little elevated for Hollywood kind of thing. It is entertaining.
It is. It is. But I think that my favorite thing is going back and looking at the list of all the places that he's been to and seeing which ones are still open and which ones aren't.
And it's very slim.
The best part is you go through and there's some that actually make the change.
Yeah. And
they, for the most part, stay open. Some of them will actually make the change and then they still lose it. But then you have the ones who are like, fuck you, man. We don't need you. Typically in Jersey, our friends from Newark.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man.
Or friends from Long Island.
Yeah. All the way, they're just, all right, well, bye. And they're closed within 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what happened.
There was one in our state that I watched, which was incredible.
Yeah. There were a few in our state.
Was there? Yeah, I watched one, but one was like a biker bar.
Yep.
And I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah, there were a few in our state.
In to kind of flip coin Kitchen Nightmares.
Yep.
I like and don't like Bar Rescue.
I don't like Bar Rescue.
Because I feel like it tried to be Kitchen Nightmares.
I don't like the guy who does Bar Rescue.
Oh, John Tafferty.
Yeah, he is so fake.
Like, he feels like he's trying to be Gordon, but he's not.
But it also, every show that he's done just feels scripted.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Like with Kitchen Nightmares, there were a few things that kind of felt scripted.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it just felt like, no, this is pretty legitimate.
And what is it? Was it Hotel Hell or something like that was the other one that he did? And which was Gordon Ramsay?
Yep.
That one was funny as hell too.
Yeah, that one was funny. But I understand why Gordon Ramsay took a break from it because after a while, dealing with people who aren't going to listen to you, and you're blowing your, well, that's the thing was he's not really that guy. He has that appearance
he's a very sweet guy.
Yeah, he has that appearance in America because in America at the time that Kitchen Nightmares was being filmed, and even now, we like that explosive, over the top
of course
thing. But he's not that guy.
No.
He'll yell at chefs and things like that if they present themselves as professionals and they make rookie level mistakes.
Yeah.
You see that on MasterChef and all the time. But if you watch MasterChef Kids, it's one of the most heartwarming things where the little girl was crying. She's like, "You're going to yell at me." And he's like, "No, I'm not going to yell at you. You're still learning." And he's like, it's the sweetest thing. This poor little 6-year-old girl, it's very small, crying her eyes out because she made a slight mistake at 6.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I remember watching was it Hell's Kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
And there was this lady on the line. She was making a lot of mistakes, and of course Gordon's kind of going after her, and then her team is beating the crap out of her.
Yeah.
And he pulled her into the back, and it turned out she lost a family member that day.
Yeah.
And consoled her.
Yeah.
And then brought her back on the line, and the team started busting on her, and he ripped the team apart.
Yeah.
Like, and he's actually like a genuine human being.
He's extremely wholesome.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen him in Minecraft?
No.
Okay. I think it's actually a video that he did on his YouTube. But if you get a chance, and if I remember, I'll link it in the description. Gordon Ramsay in Minecraft. It's hilarious. You know, a little off topic there.
There are some, I wouldn't say celebrity chefs, but kind of known chefs that even built their own platform on like YouTube and stuff like that. There was one celebrity chef, and I'm trying to remember his name. I know his first name is Nick. It's like Nick D. Giovanni.
Okay.
He's probably around your age, probably about there.
Yeah.
He's actually lives nearby, which is interesting.
Oh, cool.
He's actually really, really wholesome dude. And he kind of took the travel channel kind of style to Food Network, like the Anthony Bourdain kind of stuff.
I miss Anthony Bourdain.
But brought that to YouTube.
That's cool.
And he'll travel like all over the world and like meet with people and sit down with people and make like their culture's food and everything like that. I remember one time he went to Japan and he bought like really expensive ingredients, like the square watermelon and everything, like really expensive ingredients, and showed up at this little girl's house with her dad and just went into their kitchen and started making like a dinner with the girl.
That's cool.
Because she was like super aspired to be like a chef. So he's like, I want to sit down and help train you and all this stuff. And then he'll go out to like random subscribers and make them dinner. But he'll also like eat every food chain chicken sandwich and rate them on a tier list kind of thing.
That's my dream, dude.
Like
we still got to do the tier list of all the different flavors of Coke.
Cherry's my S tier.
Have you had all of them though?
I haven't had all of them, but cherry's still my S tier.
Yeah. We gotta figure out which one's the best.
I like how some of these celebrity chefs, once they kind of got off camera with the TV side of stuff,
they
went to YouTube and you actually see them as who they are, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about YouTube. Is you have your people. Everybody's putting on an act. You know, even when I'm live streaming, like that's not entirely me. If I'm having a conversation or whatever, I'm still kind of goofing up. You know, but
you get a little closer to the sun with that.
But but that's a bit more who I am. You know, I still have the customer service voice. You know. But YouTube kind of gives you that more intimate feel. With everything
100%.
Versus TV. Like there's a very
explosions.
Yeah, there's a very real look of, all right, that was good, but let's do that take again.
Yeah.
Even in cooking shows, where it's like, dude, you're just cooking food. Like it's not that. That's I think that's why outside of Iron Chef, a lot of the cooking competitions, I don't like them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is like, you know, they have like the Great British Bake Off and things like that.
I'm not into the dessert ones at all, by the way.
Me neither.
Like the Cake Masters and all that. Like I'm just not into
the Cake Boss.
Yeah, the Cake
Boss. The guy
who
became the boss of cake.
I'm just never been into the dessert ones, but I mean that's also what separates a pastry chef from like a chef. Like
it's a huge
pastry
difference.
chefs are it's a huge difference.
I thought about if I were to do something in the food industry, I'd want to open up like a coffee, like a bakery / cafe.
Okay.
Which it's not a huge startup at first, but I like baking.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to be the, you know, big fat, you know, Southern guy with the barbecue and the soul food and all that. But, you know, not that fat, not from the South. And, you know, my soul food is for me. But baking, like I enjoy doing that. My mom cannot bake.
Gotcha.
And she openly admits she cannot bake.
Yeah.
My grandmother kinda can bake. She's kind of figured it out, but she's learned a lot of techniques over the years, which help. You know, she's got the technique down, but a lot of it still comes out here or there. You know, but my dad's a baker.
Gotcha.
You know, but he also can grill. My dad's a an all-rounder cook and everything.
We kind of leave the pastry chef thing to my mom.
Yeah, your mom makes incredible pastries. Your mom is a fan. Like I wish at some point your mom opened up a shop. I would have been there every day.
We've over the last like 10 years have kind of like talked about that in my mom's idea of opening up a even if it's just
a food truck.
Well, we talked about food truck, but we were actually talking at one point about opening a diner, like a family-run diner.
That'd be awesome.
Because it's simple food, it's classic food, it'd be good food, and also the hours of like 7 a.m. to 2 kind of thing. Like,
dude, and there's not enough diners anymore.
No, not enough old classic diners.
No, we have like 2 in the state now.
Yeah, well, we have one nearby.
We have one nearby, but there's another one, like not too far away.
Yeah.
But that one's huge.
That one is huge.
So, and they kind of suck.
Yeah.
But like, I remember, you used to be able to shake a stick and hit a diner when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And now there's none of them around. And it's weird because all diners is it's food that you could easily make at home.
Oh yeah, it's just comfort food.
It's comfort. It's eggs, waffles, pancakes, toast, sausage, and bacon.
Yeah.
If you could manage any combination of that, you have a successful diner.
Yeah.
Like,
throw in some potatoes here, throw in some toast there,
coffee.
Yeah.
And at this point, you could probably substitute actual coffee for a Keurig machine.
Yeah. The occasional burger or sandwich.
Yeah. But it's simple, easy Americana food.
Yeah. And it's awesome. Like with my dad, he's kind of well-rounded. He's not much of a pastry person because my mom, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then my brother's interesting because my brother can bake. He just really chooses not to. I mean, he had his own cookie business for a while.
Yeah, they were my mom's actually upset that he's no longer doing it because I used to order those for like Mother's Day or her birthday. Yeah.
And he was really talented at that because that actually takes a lot of effort to make those things.
Well, it took him like 8 hours a day. It was a full-time job.
Yeah,
on top of his full-time job.
On top of his full-time job. And then, us as the family, we were doing the shipping and the packaging and all that stuff. He had that for a while. And then, it was really interesting turn because he's always been a part of like those top tier, like executive sous chef kind of things where he's just like fast on the line making like crazy steaks or seafood or whatever. And then he made the switch to making macaroons.
Yep. Yeah. Those macaroons were incredible, dude.
But
I loved eating the rejects.
But oh, that was my favorite part too. He was like, "Hey, I need a taste test." All right, I'm good with that.
Strawberry shortcake and what?
But me with the smoking and love being outdoors. Like I'm a big outdoorsy guy. I garden, I do all that stuff. So like I actually want to train now, and my brother and my family are backing me to be amateur pit master. Like I want to actually,
that'd be cool.
I want to strive for it.
That'd be neat.
Yeah, that's a goal, and not just like the dad that's good on the grill kind of thing. Like I actually want to be able.
You want to be the next level.
I want to be at the next level where if something were to come around, I have nothing going on. It's just like, hey, you want to compete? What's there to lose? Like I'd do it.
Yeah, like I would love to do that at like even if I'm not the main event, but like as a sous, if there's a sous chef, what's what's the sous grill master? The grill apprentice?
the pit sous?
The sous pit? Yeah.
But yeah, no, because what I like being able to do is like, especially obviously in my home, I'm catering to myself or my family, not like in a competition or anything like that. But I would like to be able, I can stand outside on a sunny day, have a cigar and just smell the meat smoking. And it's just like, this is fantastic.
There's nothing nicer on a 105-degree day than being around a flame broiled whatever and smoke.
Yeah.
Just meanwhile, you could feel your skin bubbling.
Well, it's funny because, my family have those chef hands where they can grab like sheet pans that are like 200-300 degrees and they're like, I'm fine. And just put it up. Now, I used to not be able to do that. But once I got into the trades and started using my hands and they turned into baseball gloves, like I don't have like temperature sensitivity anymore. Like I can do the same, but I don't, cook in a kitchen. And so I remember my brother asked me to grab something out of the oven. I just grabbed it barehanded and put it up. And he was like, oh, yeah, you could do it too, huh? And I was just like, I can't feel my hands.
I unfortunately, growing up being an artist, graphic designer, an editor of a podcast, host, streamer, even though I've done like woodworking, I've worked on cars, not professionally, but I have done. I've done my deal of trades. My hands are soft and nice to hold.
Well, you have this experience with me. Like I'm not a very big guy, but I have this weird monkey grip.
Oh yeah, well that's from being a mechanic.
It is. I have this weird monkey grip where I can just tighten everything to the point where I can't undo it.
Yeah, I've tried to undo some of your shit before, even with tools. I'm like straining.
Yeah, and I don't. It's just
it's tightening. It's not loosening.
No,
you can't loosen for shit.
No, I can't loosen anything, but tightening? Yeah, I mean, even this mic stand that we're using, I bent metal on it.
Yeah, you bent the hell out of it. Yeah, I'm surprised it's still standing.
Oh, I am too.
Like yours, and the weirdest thing is, I guarantee yours will not be the first one to be replaced.
Because I feel like
or the fourth one when we get it.
I tightened the stand so much it is now sunken in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's become one with the table.
But because of doing that for years, like I have so much callus on my hands that like I just have like this natural barrier with the cooking portion of it. I would love to do like the amateur smoking stuff, because what I love about smoking is that you can do it almost out of anything. Like I'm watching some competitions and they've actually gave me like
a pothead.
Like they've given me some inspiration. I watched this dude make a smoking cabinet out of a file cabinet.
Oh, that's cool.
And like the bottom drawer is where his wood burn is. And then like
neat.
He's got like these different tier grates. He just like stabbed holes in it for air ventilation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can literally make a smoker out of anything.
Yeah.
Like
just don't use plastic.
Yeah, and of course the fire barrels, like you can make those out of fire barrels. Like you can make a smoker out of anything. So
I mean, the best way to eat jerk chicken is cooked in an old oil barrel.
And I want to learn how to actually like get good at it, and not just like a hot dog on a fire, but I want to open pit like cook, like, and I want to see how, like, because that is the hardest way, because controlling your temperature is completely based on how far it is away from the fire at that point.
And that's one thing that elevates you, I think, from a grill master to a pit master.
Yeah.
You know, you're no longer a brand, you're now a
yeah.
But like that, learning that, and unfortunately for, you know, people with electric grills, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So use real fire when you can, whether it's the electric grill on one side or coal or wood, whatever you do. But learning that when you're cooking something, your fire is not directly under what you're cooking.
Oh, no, ever.
It's fine if you're just trying to make a quick patty or something like that. But if you're trying to elevate your cooking, it's always off to the side.
And like, I used to aspire to want to have a smoker so bad that I learned how to smoke on a propane grill, which was interesting. So what I would do,
slightly dangerous.
But what I would do is I would keep like I had like a 5 burner, and I would keep the rightmost like burner on, but at a really low temp, and I would put my wood chunk on the grill grate, and then keep my meat off to the side, and then pull chunks as it got too smoky, because you don't want the harsh smoke and all that stuff. Otherwise, it just tastes like campfire food.
Yep.
But I actually learned how to smoke on a propane grill before I ever got into a smoker. So once I learned how to air control in a smoker, I was like, oh, this is mint.
I know it's super extra, but I want the egg.
The green egg is actually really nice. That porcelain green egg.
Yeah, I want it so bad, but they're so expensive.
You can almost use it as a pressure cooker in some extent.
I mean, you could use it for just about anything.
Yeah, no, it is really expensive. They are really cool. They do have that as a part of the arsenal in the competition of the Barbecue Showdown.
Yeah.
But watching Barbecue Showdown, watching shows like that, I think the one takeaway that I have from watching all these different shows is the inspiration that I get for different stuff. Like I watch like somebody that it's like, oh, I've seen that dish made a million times, but then they add some sort of like flair to it, and it's like, I haven't tried it with that. Like I want to try it with that.
And that's the thing is, like, you know, you want to be a better artist, you go out and you do art. You want to be a better cook, you go out and you cook. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way that you could get better. If you can take inspiration from, as an artist, from other artists, or as a cook, if you could take inspiration from even something like Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, where he just goes around to different restaurants and they show you mostly how to make something, and you're like, oh shit, I never thought about it that way. I never thought to put salt and pepper on a watermelon and grill it. Like, you're welcome for anybody who hasn't tried that. It's fantastic.
So the best chicken I ever made so far, though, was on my smoker, but it was still a screw up.
Yeah.
Which, because to anybody that wants to get into any form of cooking, you will mess up horribly, and don't kick yourself in the butt for it. No. But like, it was a complete mistake. But what I did was I took 2 whole chickens and I spatchcocked them. And also, if anybody doesn't know what spatchcocking is, you cut out the spine of the chicken from the neck to its tail, and that way you can actually just turn the chicken over and split it in half. Yep. Because it evenly cooks and it cooks much faster. Yep. So I spatchcocked these 2 chickens, but before then I was brining them, and I meant to just brine them overnight. I forgot about them for a day. I was brining them for 24 hours.
Ooh, and that's a good mistake, though.
It was. The only thing is the skin was literally a tire. Like, it was a rubber tire by the time I was done. But they looked, when I pulled the chickens out of the smoker, even from the dehydration of the smoke, they looked like overinflated water balloons. So when it cut into it, it literally blew up everywhere.
Yep.
And I was like, this is the juiciest freaking chicken ever. Like, it was the best chicken I think I've ever actually had. And I was happy that I made it. Like, I was like, and I am actually not biased towards my own food.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually very against my own food.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I hope this is good. Like, it might taste like crap. Like, I'm very, like, hard on myself when it comes to my food.
I think that's because you come from a family of chefs.
Probably, or it's just more or less, I've always kind of, like, when I do something, I'm always like, it's probably not my best work.
It's your inner Eeyore.
Yeah. Like, I don't have an inner ego. I have an inner Eeyore. So, like, and I always beat myself up, and people are like, no, this is fantastic. And I'm like, I could have done better. Like, I went to a party, like, months ago. I think it was back in November. And I might have told you about this, but we have, like, this Friendsgiving where everybody comes in, and I made pulled pork for mine. And, there's, like, 30 different dishes there. And people are coming up to me, like, complimenting my pulled pork, and they're, like, saying, like, you should sell this and the whole nine. And I was like, is it really that good? Like,
yeah, there's always that thought of this isn't your best work, and it could be better.
Yeah.
And it's good. But you also have to recognize when something is good, and that's the toughest part.
And not only that, but I also have to separate, because, I was in the trades for a while. I also have to, and I hate to say it this way, but I have to also realize that general consumerism versus somebody that has been around, like my family of chefs, right?
Yeah.
Versus general consumerism. Like, even if it's not my best work and it tastes really good to somebody, like, that's great.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I've had better.
Like, there's a reason why people will bring potato salad to places is because if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, nobody gives a shit.
I think what really elevated my pulled pork that day is I brought, like, buns for everybody to make sandwiches.
Yeah.
But I smoked peaches and pineapple and made like a churry out of it.
Like a compote almost?
Yeah, well, not a compote. Like, I smoked it and I made it was almost like a pineapple chimichurri.
Okay.
It had, like, some spice, some heat. It was like a pineapple peach chimichurri. It had some cilantro in it. It was really good. And you could just put that on your pulled pork. And I think that just took it to a whole nother level.
Dude, I'm, like, between the previous conversation and this conversation, I'm very excited for the bowl of ramen I'm going to make later.
I actually just picked up a whole pulled pork yesterday. I got plans for that one too.
Nice.
So I got plans for that. I got to smoke my ham first. That'll be good.
So talking
I love
about
food.
Mistakes in food.
I am.
My best friend's dad at one point was cooking this ham, and this thing was just glazed in honey.
Oh, I've heard stories about this mythical ham.
So this whole thing, he comes in. My buddy worked for like 72 hours straight.
Yeah,
like between work and school, he was just going. And at one point early in the morning, he was like, his dad comes in, hey, I put this ham on, make sure you take it out at this time. Yeah, okay. And he went back to sleep, obviously. And I was there just sleeping, whatever. We both eventually wake up, we go about our day. About 8 to 10 hours later, we pull this thing out of the oven. We completely forgot about it. This thing was encrusted in char. It looked awful. We're like, oh, damn it, we ruined it. We completely forgot we ruined it. So we pulled off the char. We were like, hold on, maybe some of this is salvageable. So we get past the char. Thin layer. Thick, but thin layer.
I got you.
I shit you not, you could stick a straw in this and drink the ham. It was the best ham that we have ever had in our entire lives. The honey created a seal that and the heat crusted the honey over.
Yep.
And there was just so much of it on there that only the top layer of the honey was crusted.
Gotcha.
So the bottom was still that nice gooey caramelized honey, and the inside just was cooking in its own juices.
Nice.
It was
sealing meat is great.
I do not recommend forgetting that you have something in the oven.
Yeah.
Do not do that. We cannot replicate this consciously because of the fact that was a happy accident. By all rights,
it's a happy accident.
By all rights, the house should have burned down with how long it was in there at the heat that it was at.
You Bob Ross a ham.
We really did. But it was so good. And I will never get a ham that good ever again.
I like sealing my meat when it comes to like certain roasts. Like when I make prime rib, I make it every Christmas.
Yep.
But I'll take my prime rib and then I'll put a thin layer of oil around it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'll put my seasoning on, whatever. But then I'll broil it for like 20 minutes straight so that like the outside does get that char kind of beat up kind of look, because the inside is still 40 something degrees, but the outside is cooking so quickly it's not cooking the inside. And then I'll slow bake it, because at that point nothing's leaking out.
Yeah.
And then you grab the pan, you might see a little bit of juice in there, and it's like, oh, like it from the fat melt, but you're like, oh, it's kind of like dried. Then you open it and it just gushes like a waterfall. It's incredible.
Now, I know you said that you're hard on yourself when it comes to food.
Yeah.
But if you were to come up with one recipe of yours that you're confident that you can make a really good whatever it is, it could be a side, it could be an entree, whatever. What's the one recipe that you have? And feel free to share as much of it or as little of it as possible.
Okay.
You know, like something that if you're going to a party, this is what you're bringing. So
I have like a sauce that I make, and this is like different parts to it. But honestly, I love, and I got really, really, really good at making either beef spare ribs, like smoked spare ribs, or baby back ribs.
Nice.
I have there's a lot of techniques to making baby back ribs. 3-2-1 method. There's all these other methods, and 3-2-1 method's not even the greatest method.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very meticulous with my ribs. Now, there's a lot of people out there that it's like, oh, I'm from Texas, or I'm from Kansas, or I'm from Tennessee. Like, we do ribs. Like, I get it. If you take a little bit of those techniques out of all of them, and then I do like a softer wood, a fruitier wood. I'll either do like an apple wood or a pecan. Yep. And then I smoke that. But then I have this sauce that is literally like 2 parts honey mustard with a 1 part chipotle. It's incredible. And it's a certain type of chipotle. It's not the Tabasco one. It's a certain type of chipotle. But then I love any form of pork, smoked pork with smoked fruit. So what I'll do is I'll smoke fruit, and I'll smoke like a rib, and I'll make either like a puree, a chimichurri, or anything out of that. But I will use a competition rub that I have. So I'll do a competition rub. I make my ribs to the point where I'm actually the type of guy that I'm not a fall off the bone type of guy, but it's right there.
It's just before it.
Just before it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So you're not just eating boneless ribs, but you have no struggle to pull that meat off that bone. Like, you'll still have a clean bone, but you have a rib that holds together. Yeah,
I could go both ways, but I like that where
I like the rib that holds together. You have some bite, you have some chew in that meat.
Well, plus you're not just picking up the bone and the rib just falls onto the plate.
Exactly. Like a boneless rib for me, like, is what that is. And at that point, it's just like, I'd rather make a different type of pork. Yeah. If you're going to experience a bone, it's got to stay on the bone.
I agree.
But you also, pork can be manipulated in a lot of ways where you have different bites. Like, when you have a fall off the bone, you have a texture style that's almost like a melt in your mouth, which is great for meat. But if you're eating rib meat, you want a little bit of a chew. You want a little bit of a bite. You want to be able to actually like chew it and enjoy it and savor it without just being like, oh, in the gullet, down it goes, like kind of thing. I might as well drink a drink at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a certain temp that I set it at or get to. I rewrap it in 2 different wraps to get certain temperatures to where I want to be. So I would have to say, if it's mine, I'm doing either ribs, or right now, like, I'm getting deeper into my experimentation with pulled pork, but I am getting there, like, to the point where I want to get to. But if I'm doing like a thing like that, I'm doing any form of smoked meat. Like, I've gotten really good with chicken. I've gotten really good with pork. The one thing I haven't done, and it's because it's very intimidating to anybody getting into smoking, is brisket.
Yeah, brisket's tough.
That's an expensive mistake too.
It definitely is.
So, and it's very challenging, can be very challenging, but that is, like, if you're going to be a pit master, you got to know how to do a brisket. So one of these days I will get to it. I got a lot of training to do. That's why when I get these little tiny ones, like for like the corned beef, if I can manage to make something out of a smaller bit, like trial runs, that's fine.
Yeah.
but like when it comes to a whole brisket that's $200 plus,
Yeah.
it's an expensive mistake.
It is.
So,
and you're probably going to make it.
oh yeah, fortunately, my brother, being in the food industry, when he was working for a large food company, working with a lot of big companies, they would have a lot of these like luncheons and big like events and everything, and he became quite the pitmaster himself.
Yeah.
Running 30-40 briskets at a time.
Yeah.
And massive amounts of pulled pork. So I will actually lean on him sometimes when I'm like,
if
hey,
you have the resource, do it.
yeah, I'll lean on him. I know our buddy and pretty much everybody has at least called him once to be like, hey, how do I do this? And he's like,
I think I'm the only person who hasn't called him about it, but it's not because I haven't wanted to. It's because he's hard to get a hold of.
So, but either way, no, I think I would probably do something in the smoke realm, because I wouldn't have like a particular dish. I like the experience of backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
Like I would bring that to the table. Like, yeah, you do have your potato salad, your pasta salad, your regular salad, your corn on the cob, your corn beef, or like, sorry, your cornbread.
Beef.
Corn,
I'm just gonna start showing up to parties with corned beef.
But your cornbread, and then all of a sudden you have chili on the table, you have ribs on the table, you have pulled pork on the table, you have burgers. Like that part to me is like that part to me was my favorite part about like being a kid.
Yeah.
Was that 4th of July, that Memorial Day,
dude.
that Labor Day kind of thing, where it's just like you're having that
the
backyard
occasional 80-degree Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Where you're having that backyard barbecue with your family, where everyone's sitting with that crappy plastic freaking tablecloth over the picnic table.
Yeah, it rips by the end of the day.
Bees are flying around and flies are on the plates kind of thing. Like that is the experience that I love so much.
Yeah, backyard barbecue.
The backyard barbecue, and that like you have music playing in the background. You have that dad with a Budweiser walking around in his New Balances, and
you have the one guy on the grill, and all the other dads are sitting there watching him like grill. Like dude. Yeah. All of the stereotypes about it, for anybody who has never experienced this, they're all true.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Every single one of them.
Like I was just at my brother's recently because his son had a birthday, and all of the guys found their way out to the grill.
Of course,
because he was out there making food, and we all just migrated. Yeah. It's just like wherever a guy is on a grill, you will find a pile of men around him.
And every time he flips the burger, and just like the press on the press does nothing. Like it's just occasionally you want that grill marks.
Yeah, you want the grill marks. You want the flame.
But when they flip it and then they do it, every guy's like, nice. Like every time.
I think
it's a required part of having a Y chromosome.
I think another quick and easy one for me that would be kind of like a signature that I've gotten really good at is chicken thighs.
Okay.
I've gotten really good at like putting a little bit of smoke on them and then grilling them for a quick toss over. But barbecue chicken thighs, you can't go wrong.
No, not at all.
Like they're cheap. They taste really good, and you can make them a million different ways. And so for me, I think anything with grill, barbecue, that kind of stuff, like, because I spend so much time outside that sometimes I'll be like making my own meal outside. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'll be in my basement and I got something in like the fridge that I have downstairs, and I'll be like, well, I don't want to go back into the house real quick. Let me toss on the grill. Let me make some real quick, and then I eat it. So yeah, my signature dishes are evolving. They used to be very indoor one. Like I have a kind of a family recipe, and I feel like a lot of families that have any form of percentage of Italian in them have a recipe for sauce.
We have a whole ass book.
Yeah. So for any Italian family has a recipe for sauce. I've gotten really good at making them, and I've also picked up some like techniques from old timers that I've now migrated into making mine, and it's like almost an all-day process.
Yeah.
For me, but when it comes out phenomenal.
Yeah. There was one time I completely ruined a sauce by putting too much water in it, and it just kind of became a soup.
One time I was adding a little bit of salt to mine, and my salt shaker popped its top, and just the whole thing. And it was a full salt shaker.
Yeah, you better at that point you better have more tomatoes.
I was balancing it out with tomato and sugar at that point. And but and then
sometimes there's no saving it.
No, it was no saving it at that point, unfortunately. Yep. And so at that point, the dish that I was going to make was just like a basic chicken parm pasta. So at that point, I actually turned the chicken into something completely different, and it was a sweet chicken. Yep. It would balance out, and it did. So I was like, all right.
That's actually a mistake that I have had, to the point where now I'll put anything that's going into whatever I'm cooking goes into a separate dish first.
Gotcha.
It's outside of like salting to taste or pepper to taste, anything that I'm putting in, if I need a specific amount of salt, several grams or whatever of salt, it's going into a little dish first, so I can kind of measure that out and then pour it in nicely, because I've had that issue.
Yeah. So for me, like, making food, I love it. I will find, like, I spend a lot of time making food, like, because I enjoy it. But then I'll go on, like, these weeks of just, like, I don't want to make a single thing. Where's Wendy's right now?
Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah. As far as, like, recipes that I'm very confident in, I make these baked beans, homemade. Okay. I start with the dried kidney beans. It's 2 days to make, just because I have to let it sit overnight. So I start with that, and I originally did the cans because I don't know about you, but when I'm trying to come up with a recipe for something, I'll look at existing recipes.
Oh, of course.
And I'll try and follow
get some inspiration off.
I'll try and follow that as close as I can.
Yeah.
And then after doing it a couple of times, I'll start to deviate, and I've reached a point where I've just completely deviated from the original recipe outside of the red kidney beans.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll do a bit of mustard, some Worcestershire sauce.
Worship your sister sauce.
What's your sister sauce? Westchester sauce, whatever it is.
W sauce.
So I do that. I do the mustard, but I typically do like a stone ground mustard with it.
Yeah.
A little bit of ketchup.
Okay.
Just to kind of get that thickening.
Yeah, the acidity and all that. Yeah.
And I'll mix a couple of spices. I do a bit of molasses in there.
Okay.
And then one of the things that I do is I'll take a nice cube of bacon and I'll just chop that up.
Gotcha.
Frozen. Still, the bacon will be frozen when it goes in, because number one, frozen bacon's easier to cut.
Oh yeah.
If you're dealing with a slab of, as
long as you have a good knife.
Yeah. If you're dealing with a slab of bacon and you have a nice sharp chef's knife, you still want that frozen, because it is such a pain to cut, and you'll squish that bacon 9 out of 10 times.
Not only that, but it gets so slippery in your hand from all the fat.
Yeah.
When it's up.
Yeah.
In temp.
So just frozen goes in, cook it all up, and then I'll take. There's a bit more steps. I don't want to reveal too much.
Yeah.
In case I ever come out with a cookbook, like I want people to be able to buy it. But I'll do Lagavulin.
Okay.
A nondescript amount goes in. And that's expensive stuff. That's $80 bottles. Actually, I think it's up to $90 now.
Oh, jeez. I made one time, and I want to make it again. I made these creamy butter beans with ham hock, and it actually came out really fantastic. I remember when I went to the butcher at the local grocery store and asked him where the ham hock was, and he was like, huh? Because so many people don't use ham hock anymore.
What the hell are you saying?
But ham hock and butter beans, it was like a barbecue butter bean, and it was slow cooked in this ham hock, so you got the fat from like the ham and then the butter, and it was actually really good.
Nice.
The weird thing was about it is I thought I was going to enjoy it more than my wife did. It was very much opposite.
Yeah.
My wife wants me to make it more and more as time goes on.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? It's simple to make, and I will say, like, for me as a base bean, nothing beats Goya beans for me.
Yeah.
Like, Goya beans, like, are some of the best beans.
They
like,
really
out
are.
there. But for me, I also take pride. A lot of men take pride in it. I do take pride in my chili.
So I like making chili, but the best chili I ever had was chili that my dad made.
Got you.
And this beats out restaurants and things like that. But the way that my dad cooks is he lets his ancestors come down and say, that's enough, child. It's time to move on to the next ingredient. And he doesn't write anything down.
Nor do I.
So this is going on at least 15 years, possibly longer ago, that my dad made this chili. And he has been chasing the dragon since then. He cannot replicate it. But like that mythical chili way back when, like, we want it so bad, and he keeps getting close in certain things, and he's figured out new things that he likes to incorporate, but we just can't get it.
Gotcha.
like, and I felt really bad because he made this. He makes two types of chili. 'Cause my mom can't handle spice at all.
Yeah.
She's very sensitive to capsaicin.
Yeah.
But me and my dad, we like spice.
Yeah.
Me, I have an iron stomach. Like I'm like you. The spicier it is, the better.
Yeah.
As long as it has flavor.
Yes.
And
like I don't like that white hot stuff personally.
Yeah. If it's ridiculously hot and it tastes like nothing, I hate my life.
Yeah.
But like if it's ridiculously hot but it tastes delicious, like I'm the guy who I'll eat it.
Like my eyes and my nose will start leaking all over the place before I stop eating it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my dad's not quite there.
Yeah.
But he does enjoy spice.
Yeah.
But the last time he made chili, he made a spicy one for me and him and a not spicy one for my mom.
Yeah.
And neither one of them were spicy.
Oh. Okay.
And I was watching him as he was cooking. He was just dumping in stuff and he just couldn't, it was so subdued. He couldn't get it to reach that heat. So one of these times I want to sit down with him and figure out like an actual, like,
I will reveal my trick to my chili is beer.
Yeah.
Brewing chili with beer is the way to go.
Oh yeah. Beer or whiskey.
I like beer because you get the hoppiness from it. You can get that like umami hoppiness from it.
Don't be pretentious.
But well, with chili, you have your salt flavors, you have your rich undertones.
Yeah.
But it's missing that middle ground most of the time.
Yeah.
And beer fills that gap.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me now because, like, I don't drink. And so, like, I have to go get beer. But fortunately for me, they make, like, those 0.0% lagers.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the hop flavor out of it. I don't need the alcohol. I'm getting the flavor out of it. So
just go and buy hops, bro. Just
dude, I think I actually have seeds for growing hops.
Yeah, I mean, I've never cooked with straight up hops. I'm the type I'll just use the beer or whatever.
Very potent and very bitter.
And that's the thing is I don't like hoppiness. I hate IPAs.
Gotcha.
I hate them.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
But I mean, hops and barley and stuff like that. I mean, when you get hops, I mean, lagers still have a little bit, but it's more barley. It's more stuff like that. And when you're making that stuff, like we were talking about before, it's chemistry. It's I mean, no wonder why everybody thought people were wizards and witches back then. It's just alchemy.
Exactly.
But with
circles and everything.
With that, you can reach so many different flavor profiles just with like simple adjustments. And like I can take like a chili that I've made for years, but if I put a different beer in it, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, so that's why like with my baked beans I've settled on Lagavulin because I've tried with several different whiskeys, scotches, all that, bourbons even. I've tried it with everything, and Lagavulin just has that nice flavor to it. And I typically go with the 16 year because that's typically what I buy. But I've tried it with the 8, the 10, the 11 year, and it comes out the same. But it's the other flavors add to it.
So what I do for my corn on the cob, is I'll take a big chafing dish and fill it with butter and Blue Moon and throw it on the grill so it boils into the corn, and then I'll pull those corns off and get quick char marks on them.
Yep.
And then when I make smoked sausage, I'll take a chafing dish and fill it with, yet again, butter and Blue Moon and put the sausage in there and throw it in a smoker.
Nice.
And then I'll pull them off and let them like elevate and get, smoke on them. But man, it is phenomenal.
I've done Blue Moon with clams or mussels.
Oh, okay.
So you just get like aluminum foil.
Yeah.
You just put all the mussels in there, and then you just pour a bit of a good amount of Blue Moon in there. You seal it up. You put it on the grill.
Yeah.
I would recommend putting some sort of container under it in case it breaks open.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, but you got to say it.
Well, no. Well, actually, no, it doesn't go without saying because I was having a barbecue about 2 years ago, and I was smoking a pulled pork, but it was taking a long time, so I wanted to throw it in my oven, and I threw it in the oven.
You didn't turn the oven on?
No, the oven was on.
Oh, okay.
Everything was fine. I didn't put a drip tray underneath it, and
I think I remember this story.
I'm sitting at a table. I had too much to drink that day, but I was sitting at a table with my little nephew, just holding him. And all of a sudden, I see my fire alarm fly out the window at me, and it's my brother in my kitchen.
Yep, saved your house.
He was like, "Hey, you trying to burn it down in here?" And I walk in, and it looked like something out of like The Mist in my kitchen. And I was like, oh. I was like, where's my dog? And she's, of course, hiding, stuffing her head into, like, the couch, like, I can't breathe.
It smells like idiot in here.
And I looked at that, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. So that's why I said it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it.
Do it.
Yeah. You have a drip tray. No matter what you're cooking.
Yeah, have a drip tray.
Have a drip tray.
I got so, because I have one built in on my smoker. And I got so used to having it on there, when I threw it in the oven, I was like, oh, like, no change. Yeah. But I had also had, like, a lot to drink that day.
Yeah, the amount of grills I've set on fire, either because there was no drip tray and I didn't know, or the grease catch was filled and nobody told me. Like, I got to a point where it's like, no, clean this out every single time, you numbskull. I've watched... when I lived with a buddy for a while, and between me, my roommate, and my buddy's wife, and I think my buddy at one point, we set the side of his house on fire multiple times.
Oh, good.
And we never called the fire department. We handled it ourselves. Yeah. But it was just one of those things where it's like, whoo, whoever buys this better not look.
I think it was you or it was your buddy that had mentioned that, like, at his house, your buddy's house, that we should have, like, a smoking cook-off.
Yeah, so it's going to... Yeah, it's... I figured out a better place for it.
So, but like, we all bring, like, smokers.
Yeah.
And then we just come in early, start our prep, do all that, and then, like, get it going. And that way, the whole day, like, we have our smokers running, and that'd be really cool. Because I think it would be fun, although 2 out of the 2 people that would come, my brother being one of them, they'll have those pellet smokers. And I'm like, nah, I have a vertical, but I want to get an offset. And I actually asked your buddy, because he has this big propane tank behind his house that unfortunately is being used because that's his gas line to his stove. I was like, if it's not being used, I'm taking that, because I want to cut it and make a giant...
Just take it anyway. What's he going to do?
What are you going to do? But no, I want to make, like, a giant offset, because you look at these offset smokers that are essentially just giant propane tanks that people have welded these offset things onto. They're thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something so simple.
The one that I've seen is the furnace. A lot of people, when they're done with their furnace, will cut it open, clean it out, and they'll turn that into a smoker or a giant, like, pit grill.
I don't know if you've seen the smoker at our local smoke place.
Yeah.
That thing is massive.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those ones that's a toe behind, like, massive one. Those things are huge, but I would love that.
They can't use it worth shit.
If I became a millionaire, you would know, because my basement would be filled with cured meats, and I'd have a smoker the size of my house.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, no, if I become a millionaire, everybody will know, because I'll fall off the face of the earth.
I would take, like, the middle section out of a plane and turn that into a smoker.
Well, you could probably pick up the parts from some of the crashes. That's a horrible joke. Keeping it in.
Do you like to feel energized? I know I do. I'm a bit of a caffeine myself. Do you want to feel like you can climb a mountain fresh out of bed? Or maybe stream for 12 hours without any internal lag? Well, you're listening to the right ad. But before I get into it, let's talk about jitters. Have you ever had an energy drink that leaves you just feeling fast but anxious? A drink that makes you feel like Dash from The Incredibles, yet vibrating apart like an old car. Well, not this one. Introducing to you Dubby Energy. Dubby Energy's special formulated blend of jitterless energy is made from coffee extract, a natural, clean, jitterless source of energy. You could scale walls, run across the ocean, maybe even fly, although we at the RPGeek Podcast recommend a parachute for that. They have flavors such as pomegranate blossom, peach, dragon fruit lemonade, even Grandpa's denture water. With all these great flavors to choose from, how would you not want to turn your brain into a supercomputer with all this clean energy? Right now, if you go to dubby.gg and use code RPGeek Podcast at checkout, you could get 10% off your next order. That's RPGeek Podcast at checkout. Or if you're trying to get it done in just one shot, type dubby, DUBBY.GG/RPGeek Podcast. Again, that's RPGEEK Podcast for 10% off your next order.
No, while W Energy tastes delicious and makes you feel good, it will not allow you to walk across water, scale walls, or fly. Please do not sue us if you do something stupid. Thank you.
Thank you to W Energy, and back to the show. One thing that I got to be a part of, though, when I was a teenager, when I think that really started my love for it, was I got to be a part of a whole pig roast.
Oh, cool.
And like I got to help. I got to like be there. Like I've worked in bakeries with my mom, and I've worked, in a couple, not restaurants, but like I've worked helping out in like food industry places that are just general food. And I think the one that really inspired me to want to do like the outdoor, like almost like primitive style cooking is that pig roast. That's thing cool. Was awesome.
Yeah, I've been a part of a pig roast before.
Yeah, those things are cool.
And by been a part, I mean I've eaten a pig roast.
Dude, they're awesome. They're
fantastic. I would love to actually do it.
Yeah.
But I don't have the opportunity at this time to do it. I don't have the means. I have a flat top grill currently. So it's kind of hard to roast a pig on a flat top grill.
To switch gears on you though.
Yeah.
Food related still. Video games.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the RPGeek Podcast.
We are the RPGeek Podcast. So let's talk about food.
Let's talk about food and video games.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with mine.
Sure.
It's kind of iconic at this point. The Bethesda,
the sweet roll.
Well, Bethesda does, like, when you look at the Elder Scrolls series, has some of the most appetizing looking foods in some video games. And then obviously they came out with an official cookbook. I own it.
Yes, I think
phenomenal.
I think I own it. I don't remember if I do. I've cooked out of it.
I think video games do have some of the most appetizing looking foods sometimes, and TV shows, of course.
Yeah,
like the Naruto.
Like the ramen?
Yeah, the ramen.
Dude, I got hooked on ramen because of Naruto when I was a kid.
When it comes to that, like sometimes I've actually been like in a game and I get hungry because I'm like, I look at like the grilled leeks and I'm like, oh, that looks good. You know me, I'll take any opportunity to shit on Final Fantasy 15 out of love. Like I love the series. 13 was the hallway simulator.
13 was the hallway simulator. Gotcha. I don't think there was any food in 13.
Okay.
There might have been, but there were other problems. But Final Fantasy 15, the whole premise of the game was bros on a road trip. Basically, like that was how the game was presented. Yeah. Obviously, there's more to it, but that's the easiest way to do it.
Gotcha.
As your bros on a road trip, occasionally you go camping.
Oh, okay.
So you can find these little camp out spots, which turn into like fast travel locations and things like that. But you find these little camp out spots, and you can choose to camp for the night because at certain points in the game, up to a certain point in the game, you can't be out and about at night. So at these camp out spots, one of the characters would cook, and as this character leveled up and you got more items and ingredients, you would just hear, "I've thought up a new recipe."
That's it. I've come up with a new recipe.
And you would learn new things to cook. I shit you not, this was some of the most delicious looking food I have ever seen in my life. Like restaurants, TV, whatever, like something about how they modeled this food made it look better than the fake burgers that McDonald's shows you on their commercials. It was incredible. And the other one is Monster Hunter.
Okay.
Monster Hunter food eating is a huge part of Monster Hunter.
Gotcha.
And they would have all of these ridiculous cutscenes where these cats would feed you these amazing looking dishes, and Monster Hunter Wilds is going to have that. Yeah. Currently, it's very simple, but like,
was this Rise?
So Rise had it. Every Monster Hunter has had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But as graphics World was the first one where graphics were really good.
Yeah.
So in World, you would go through and you would do it before every hunt, and the cutscene was pretty much always the same.
Gotcha.
But as you leveled up, the cutscene would get more and more in depth, and the things that they would serve you would be so much better.
Gotcha.
And it looks absolutely incredible. Wild is the first one that didn't have the cats cooking for you, but you could cook for yourself. Okay. And there were several cutscenes in that game where it's just characters eating, and it's just the most I'm getting hungry watching this.
I think my closest experience with cooking though in a video game is funny because it was 2006, 2007. It's when they first added construction to RuneScape.
Yep.
And you could do the houses. Me and my buddies that were playing a lot of the time, one of us, I think it was me, had a really high cooking level. And on the forums of RuneScape, we were running a diner.
That's hilarious.
And people would come in, sit down in our house, and we would make them food and give it to them. And it was a massive role play, of course.
Yeah.
But people actually showed up.
That's awesome.
And we would just sit there for hours, just go and make a recipe in the thing. And I would tell one of my buddies, I'm running out of this ingredient. You need to go find it.
Yep.
And this was before like Grand Exchange, I think.
Yeah.
And so
right around.
right around that era. But like he'd be running different banks looking for like advertising. I need this kind of fish or whatever.
Yep.
And then I'd just be sitting there like short order cooking all these tickets. And it was hilarious. It got to the point where I had a notebook in front of me. Somebody would type something out. I want this. I would write it down on a piece of paper so I didn't forget it. But like the chili con carne and the kebabs and all this stuff, it was fun.
That's one of those things where you wish that you had macros set up so you could do like the diner call outs, like give me a Adam and Eve on rye.
Yeah, no, that was really fun back then.
Yeah,
I think, and you know, that was when RuneScape now 3 had the old school like looking graphics before it went into it was RuneScape 2 at the time.
Yeah, at the time it was RuneScape 2.
And
but we just called it RuneScape.
We just called it RuneScape. Now it's OSRS and all that stuff. But you know, we had a lot of fun with that, and it just hours and hours. And I used to get like these private messages when I was just out doing woodcutting, like when you're opening the diner.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because everyone is just standing in this house, essentially having a quote unquote house party.
Yep.
And they're just meeting new people and talking. But it was just this gimmick of a role play diner.
Well, that's one of the best parts about RuneScape is the just being able to talk with other players. Like if I wasn't so antisocial, I guarantee I could have had lifelong friendships from RuneScape.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are some people that, you know, I've met on RuneScape that now I talk to in person, kind of thing. And it's kind of cool. Like, I have friends with them, like, on Facebook and all that stuff, and I talk to them. One of them sends me a Christmas card.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, which is really neat. And he's a really cool dude. One last thing on food being a mistake.
Okay.
My brother told me a story that he went to the trade school and everything.
Yep.
And the kids in the trade school were responsible for actually making the hot lunches.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother was making a batch of fries. When he was frying them, he got it all done with them, and he put them in his basket, and, you know, he drained them from grease. And he goes to salt them. Well, he grabbed sugar by accident instead and put sugar all over these fries. He said they sold out. Like, he doesn't know what it was, but all these 14, 15, 16-year-olds were just eating up these fries with sugar.
Yeah.
And I was just like, huh.
Starch and sugar are good, man.
Meanwhile, 2 years before, he blew up a microwave.
Yeah, with a hot dogs. I thought it said 30 minutes.
I still bust his chops over that.
Oh yeah, we all do.
Like, he bought his son his son or his daughter like toy play set that has got like the oven and the microwave and the sink and everything. And I was like, oh, I like your kitchen. And he was just like, shut up.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that fits you just fine. And like, you know, his son's a little guy. So I bought him one of those like toddler type cars.
Yeah.
It was like, I got you a new car, brother. And he was just like, shut up. Sometimes food mistakes just bring out these new recipes that you would have never thought of.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes your fuck-ups lead to miraculous
mistakes.
Wins.
Yeah, you know, and like your ham.
Yeah.
My chickens.
Well, it wasn't my ham. I just happened to be there for it.
You just happened to be there, which is good timing.
Yeah. Yeah, I happen to be at the right place when it comes to food, I'm always in the right place at the right time. When it comes to life, I'm never there.
I feel that. Oh man. Yeah, I'm never in the right place at the right time except for food.
Yep.
I mean, and what I love about food too is it can be something that you don't really want at the time, but it's just so simple that it's like it filled that spot. Like, I was over at my parents' once, and I was extremely tired. I worked like 7 days, and my mom was like, "Do you just want a cheeseburger? Simple homemade cheeseburger, you know, nothing fancy."
Yeah.
And that hit the spot so hard that it was just like, man, I want to sleep now.
The amount of times I have just made myself ham and cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. It's just that food, like that particular home food that you're just like, you know what? I don't know what I want, but I need something.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, after you eat it, you're like, I feel homely.
Yeah. You're just like, I'm ready to it just melts away everything.
Now, I do have one genre of food, though, that I'm not like a huge fan of. Like that, if it's the only thing there, I'll eat it, but it's just like, I don't like soup. I'm not a big fan of soup.
Okay.
I like some soups.
Sure.
Like, I love French onion. I love minestrone.
Yep.
One is one of my favorites. But if I don't have to eat soup, I'm not eating soup.
I've always thought about opening, and I have these thoughts every once in a while. I think everybody has a thought where it's like, I should just do this. There's got to be a market for it, right? I've always thought about opening an all soup restaurant, call it the Soup Kitchen.
Okay.
And it's just nothing but soup. And, it's open late.
Yeah.
Right? Like for the people at 3 a.m. being like, man, I really want a minestrone or an Italian wedding soup or broccoli and cheddar or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love soup in the sense that chicken noodle soup is actually, like, if you're sick, like the colds, like chicken noodle soup, it's proven it will help you. Sorry vegetarians and vegans, but like it will help you. But soup is not only something that you can eat / drink, but depending on the type of soup, like broccoli and cheddar, you dip like bread in a broccoli and cheddar soup. Or tomato soup, you dip like grilled cheese or whatever. Soup is a perfect accent for a lot of things, but every once in a while, man, I just get a hankering for just like soup.
I get it.
And not like Campbell's
no,
or Progresso or whatever, which I'll have those.
I mean, Progresso's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll have those. But like I want
like a genuine.
I want a genuine like fresh soup.
Yeah, no, I got you. And there's a lot of homely foods that like when I was younger, like I just wasn't a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to grow back on the soup.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to grow back on pot roast.
Mm-hmm.
Because pot roast you can easily turn into a soup.
Of course.
But like for the longest time I was just like, I just don't want this. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like I have no idea what it was. It was totally a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like they taste fine, they taste good, but it was just like I don't want soup. And like to the point when I was a teenager, if soup was put in front of me, I'd get actually agitated. And I've always argued with people on this. But I've always wondered people's opinions. Is chili a soup?
I think it depends.
Like, it could be classified as one because you have your liquid, you have your protein, you have your vegetable.
Yeah, so I think it depends based on how liquidy it is. If it's a more liquidy chili, I think that's a soup. But if it's the thick, like, what typically is considered chili, that's a chili. It's its own thing. It's like the difference between a soup and a chowder.
I guess, so would chili be a chowder then?
No, because chowder is more creamy.
Yeah, chowder, Which, by the way...
And also, no, cereal is not a soup. Although I have made that argument to piss people off before.
I am just going to put this out right now, and I'm sorry to all of our neighbors. New England makes the best chowders.
It does. New England clam chowder is the best.
Anybody else... like the Manhattan chowder,
that's the red one, right? Or is that the Rhode Island?
I think that's Rhode Island because I think the Manhattan one, if the Manhattan one's not red, it looks like sewer water.
Yeah.
What is that? It's like, please get away from me.
Yeah, no. No, New England clam chowder is
the chowder.
The chowder.
Chowder. Same with the lobster roll. Same with the lobster roll.
Maine lobster roll. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Like we make some of the best. So like, we have some of the best seafood, arguably.
Oh, we definitely. I mean, we're in, outside of the fact that we ship our stuff
to Japan
everywhere.
Yeah.
Before we even get to eat it, which is a whole discussion in and of itself. It's why fish is so expensive.
Yeah.
But New England has the best seafood because the ecosystem around New England.
Yeah.
And it's
so moderate.
It's like we get everything. Tuna, salmon, we get all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that that's why we have the best stuff.
Oh yeah.
But if you break it down state by state, it's always Maine.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But their water is so fresh from the Arctic, though, especially when they start going further north.
That's what it is. Everybody else is too close to New York.
Their water is so fresh, though, in that those northern Atlantic seas, that you can not only get some really big fish that have been left undisturbed for a long time, but you can get some very just like genuinely fresh, like almost glacier water style, like kind of fish.
I've found out recently that Maine has a law where if a lobster is over a certain size, you cannot catch it
because of its age.
Because of its age,
yep.
You have to release it because those are the breeders. Those are the ones that are going to go out and do stuff. Mm-hmm. And to me, as a lobster lover, I'm like, Damn, but like a 30-pound lobster sounds fucking fantastic. A $700 lobster sounds great.
I may have shared this story with you, but there's a nuclear plant up in New Hampshire, and they're right on the ocean. They're right near like Hampton Beach. And there was a story that came out like 10 or 15 years ago. I can't verify it. I don't know if it was word of mouth or whatever. Either way, sounds interesting.
Yeah.
There was a maintenance facility guy that had this time-based commitment that he had to go down into these big grates because they would flow the ocean water into the fusion reactor to cool it down, and then they would cycle it back out. Well, on the grates, all these lobsters would stick to it, and he would have to go down and clear the grates so that the water flow could be optimal. Well, apparently, he would take these lobsters and break off their tails and throw them in this like satchel he would bring under the water with him for like 10 years until he got an apprentice who kind of smoked him out. But then they went to his house on a criminal charge from the EPA or some sort of wildlife protectant. And it turns out this man had like 400 lobster tails in his freezer.
Why?
Why didn't you eat them?
Like, that's the thing. It's like, what are you, a serial killer?
Yeah, like, but I'm like, he must have been selling them. I mean, he must have been to have that many. But like, apparently he was doing it for a long time. And he got caught, and of course, got really big trouble. But I was like, that's a lot of lobster.
Guys who work in nuclear are fucked up.
Hey, buddies.
Hey, everybody.
But yeah, so no, that was an interesting one. I know, like in New Hampshire, though, we get like they used to get like variances of like Maine's seafood in like Massachusetts and all that stuff, and you would have the best lobster and then the best clams. Yeah. Like it was incredible. Too bad, like I was never a clam fan, like for a long time.
I love clam.
Fried clams, though, I think are still my favorite.
Fried clams are really good.
I love fried clams. And give me a nice old piece of fried haddock. I will go to town on a piece of fried haddock.
I'm that way with like, you give me a nice cut of tuna. Like, gotcha. I'm that guy.
Is that your favorite fish?
Tuna's my favorite, yeah.
Okay. I would have to say either haddock or, I mean, cod. Atlantic cod is great. But like
I've had swordfish before too. That's really good.
I love whitefish.
Racist.
I love whitefish. I love flounder. I love haddock, cod, stuff like that. But I think my favorite fish, to be honest, is a pufferfish.
Fugu?
I think so. No, is it pufferfish or is it blowfish? Blowfish.
Yeah, because if pufferfish, I want to try fugu.
No, blowfish.
Yeah,
I love blowfish.
Okay,
like it's absolutely incredible. That one and rainbow trout, of course.
I like rainbow trout.
I like smoking my trout,
but like that just sounds dirty. For me, I think it harkens back to how I like when I first got into sushi. Like I would try all the different ones, but like the tuna was. Whenever you get like sushi grade tuna, which I found out is easy to do.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive, but like I could go down the road to the grocery store, buy a whole ass thing of tuna, and the process is super easy. You just have to freeze it. Yeah, really quick. But like,
yeah, it's like a flash freeze.
It's a flash freeze, and then you could just bite into the fucking thing, and $30 later you're super happy. But like, there's something about tuna, like not canned tuna. No. Canned tuna is a 50-50 raffle. You're either going to be like, that was good, or you're going to be like, kill me. But like you get the actual like red cut tuna steak,
that dark, deep red,
beautiful deep red.
Yeah,
I love that. Salmon I really like, but tuna is
really fresh. Salmon sushi though is incredible.
It is
when it's really fresh. Me and you went out to a place once, and they had incredibly fresh salmon.
Yeah, and I think they went out of business.
Oh, did they really?
I think they did.
Oh man, they had incredibly fresh salmon though.
Yeah,
but I do like that. I think
I love tuna and eel.
Okay, I like red clam.
Red clam. Okay.
Red clam. Yeah. Red clams are good. If you can get over the texture.
Yeah, texture doesn't bother me.
Of feeling like you're chewing a literal piece of rubber.
Speaking of texture, this is a fun one. How do you feel about oysters?
I don't mind them because honestly, by the time I'm done covering them in cocktail sauce and lemon, I can't taste the oyster. I mean, but honestly, like as long as I don't hold it in my mouth, like, I'm fine. Well, like if I hold it against my tongue, I will gag.
Well, because it has the consistency of a lug.
It really does.
Like-
so like that. Like I open like my neck and I just down the go and it goes
like a pelican.
Yeah. No, essentially, like I'm just like down the go and it goes. Like I am not holding this in my mouth.
Like a seagull.
Yeah, pretty much. My favorite shellfish, hands down, though, is shrimp. Like it's so versatile.
I am that person who will go to the grocery store, buy the ring of shrimp, the frozen ring of shrimp, or even the non-frozen one. They have the chilled ones, and then just go home and eat that.
Oh yeah. There's so
and
many
die of mercury poisoning later.
There's so many variations of what you can do with shrimp.
Yeah.
Actually, my in-laws just gave us a bag of shrimp recently. They bought a 10-pound crate of shrimp, but it was a 4 to 8.
Oh, nice.
Per pound. They're gigantic. Like they are massive.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is fine. Although I've had really bad experiences with shrimp, especially in certain restaurants, particularly buffets, where they don't devein their shrimp, and I'm just like, I'm eating poop shoot. This is great. No, it really adds to the flavor.
Yeah, it makes you healthier.
No, I'm for me, like, shellfish. Like, I love shellfish, and believe it or not, I'm not the biggest fan of lobster.
I've heard that a lot. Like, do you prefer crab or...
I prefer crab.
Okay.
And not only do I prefer crab, I prefer snow crab over king crab.
That one's an interesting one.
Cheaper and sweeter.
Okay.
You get less meat out of it, but it's cheaper and it's a sweeter meat.
Have you ever had soft shell crab?
Yeah, of course.
I love soft shell crab.
I've done soft shell boil before, and that's actually really nice. I like crawfish. Crawfish is good.
Crawfish is good.
I prefer snow crab over king crab because you can get it so much cheaper, and I feel like the meat is so much sweeter.
Yeah.
Versus like, king crab kind of gives me that savory lobster kind of feel to it. So
I love lobster. I love crab.
Blue crab.
I could easily be a pescatarian. I could easily do that outside of the price. But I mean, at that point, if I'm just eating fish, I'm joining a fishing boat.
The only kind of fish that I don't really like is, it's hard to describe, is that really, really fishy like fish. Like you can get a river
Where
fish.
It's like gamey.
But you can get that river fish that like even on a plate it smells bad.
Yeah,
like kind of thing. Like I can't do those.
I want to try monkfish.
Oh yeah,
that one's one that's ugly, smells bad, but apparently tastes delicious.
But a good old piece of fried catfish.
I was gonna ask, how do you feel about catfish?
Catfish is phenomenal.
I love
good old
piece of fried catfish. The catfish nuggets, dude.
Oh yeah,
I like that. That's a high end struggle food.
But that is, it's actually really, really good. And, and speaking about sauces, we were earlier, I can't have like a nice piece of fried shellfish without some tartar sauce.
I love tartar sauce.
I call it tartar.
Tartar. Like Jar Jar?
Yeah. But
we still want the tartar sauce.
I remember, when I was drinking, one of my favorite meals, it was in the middle of fall. So let's put the setting out, right?
Yeah.
It's the middle of fall. I was in Boston. So enjoying the nice like foliage and city at the same time, right? And it's kind of like dark, dim. We go to this tavern. I get a nice piece of fried haddock with fries, but ordered a Guinness and a bourbon with that. A Guinness with a piece of fried fish is the best experience.
So good.
And
dude.
a Guinness, like I'm not in Ireland, but a Guinness in Boston, pretty much, it's close enough. Like it's close.
Yeah.
So but a Guinness in Boston with a fried piece of fish and a nice crisp fall day was a beautiful combination.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was probably like the best fish I'd probably had.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we've been going for a while again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you still want to keep going. We could do a part 3 or...
I mean...
All right, last bit before we end it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
One fast food chain above all others.
Above all others.
Yeah, so McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Which one?
Ooh,
and what are you ordering?
I would, I want to say Chick-fil-A, but at the same time, mine is probably going to be Popeyes.
Okay.
Because I like the fact that they have a chicken that's crispy and also has a spice kick to it, and hands down make the best chicken sandwich.
Popeyes does have a very good chicken sandwich.
And I think it outbeats Chick-fil-A. I think it outbeats all the other ones. I'm probably going to have to go with Popeyes. If I'm going burger route, it's Wendy's.
So I don't like Wendy's burgers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Between the square meat and they're not, in my opinion, they're not great. Okay. I would rather have Burger King But
Okay.
I mean, recently Burger King's really started to suck.
Yeah.
But like from my fond memories,
Yeah.
of
Burger King was
everything,
my go-to.
Burger King was the best
Because
for
honestly,
years.
they make the best fries.
Well, so
Personally.
interesting factoid about Burger King. They you know how they claim that they're flame broiled and char grilled.
Yeah,
and
it's a
things like
flavoring.
that. So it's not even that anymore. So now it's all done on like the flat top, the same setup as everybody else.
Yeah.
But when you go to a Burger King, they still have that smell.
Mm-hmm.
They literally pump that smell out of their building. It's an artificial smell. They don't actually do it anymore.
Interesting.
Because they've changed everything. So it's all a big lie.
You know, I've only had them once.
So because of that, I'll get my 20-piece McNugget and be happy.
if I could have multiple pieces of their food and actually really compare,
I miss the Angry Whopper.
my favorite chicken joint that I've ever eaten at, chain wise, was Zaxby's.
Okay.
And I wish I could try more of their stuff to really get a taste for it, right?
Yeah.
But I think my favorite chicken place would have to be right now, only because it's legit chicken.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about accessible, it's got to be Popeyes for me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going non-accessible, I would say either In-N-Out or Carl's Jr. But
Gotcha.
those are so far away. Like,
Yeah, and I've never been to an In-N-Out.
it's good for the price. It's In-N-Out, you know, and everybody is who likes In-N-Out's gonna shit on me for this. In-N-Out is fine by itself, but the fact that it's so cheap, that's what makes In-N-Out.
Yeah, and you know, there's quite a few that I haven't tried, like White Castle being one of them.
You don't need to try White Castle.
Yeah, I've heard
Outside of Harold and Kumar, there's really no reason
I've
to
heard,
go to White Castle.
but like I've always wanted the experience of just trying one of those little sliders.
Yeah.
But you know, there's like a bunch of different things, but yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Popeyes because overall, I think their chicken is really good, and I think their chicken sandwich is really good, and also you can find like sweet tea and all that stuff there, which I love. So
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna stick with that one. What about you?
If I have to pick one, just total, beats everything else out. In the past, it would have been Burger King.
Okay.
In the past, when the Angry Whopper first came out,
Yeah.
you know, years, like, 15 years ago? A little more than that. God, I'm old.
Hey, I used to own all three of the Burger King video games for the 360.
I think I own Sneak King.
Yeah, I used to own all three.
I
and
don't have the Burger King cart or whatever.
I sold them 2 years ago for a lot cheaper than I should have.
Yeah, they're actually, surprisingly, despite the fact that they all suck ass, they are worth a good amount of money.
Yeah.
But no, I think for me, probably now I'd have to go with McDonald's, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Well,
only
at least it's not Subway.
well, no, definitely not. No, the only reason why I would say McDonald's, and it's entirely because of whatever the hell they put in their food, is
You sure it's not that BTS meal?
no, it's not the BTS meal. Because I'll just go and get a 20-piece McNugget,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I mean, but that's classic, you know?
But like, there's just something about that. Like every once in a while, there's no other place. As much as I would love to just be like, man, I really want a Whopper right now. The last several experiences I've had at Burger King were extremely disappointing.
Gotcha.
So McDonald's, I'll just go and I'll just be like, just give me a 20-piece, and it's been the same for years.
Yeah, it's consistency.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
You know,
and that's fair.
And I know the 20-piece is an obnoxious amount of food.
Yeah,
But-
if I had to put in number 2, it'd probably actually be Chipotle. I find their ingredients to be actually really fresh.
I like Chipotle, but Chipotle is a whole process.
It is.
You literally have to look for the highest kid there and be like, you're the one making my burrito right now.
This is true.
Because you find the kid who's, you know, normal, and he's going to go by the book, measure everything out, right? Dude, you find the high kid, he's going to make you what he wants to eat.
I found that our local one that had opened in the last few years, I gave up on burritos from them because they can't wrap them. I went to burrito bowls instead.
Oh, give me a burrito that can't hold together and I'm a happy man.
Well, the thing is, it's like I would have these really large burritos, but they can't wrap them to save their life.
Yeah. The reason why I can't go with Taco Bell or Chipotle, is because where we live, there's so many really good Mexican food places.
This is agreeable.
That are also cheaper.
This is true.
So I'd rather just go to those.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I would rather go to those too.
But, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Popeyes for me because, good old spinach and one big arm.
Yeah, of course. The anchor on your arm.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Well, this has been fun. We'll probably do another food stream, or not stream, recording, podcast, whatever the hell it's called.
I'm sure we'll.
At some point.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right.
So thank you everybody for listening. What's your... Give us your comment. I know all of you are listening to this. Actually leave a comment. I don't care if it's on Spotify or wherever, or I prefer it on YouTube, honestly.
Oh, we've seen you react to our polls that we put out.
Yeah. Yeah, you liars. I know your game. Everybody's against me. It's fine. But yeah, leave us a comment, like all that fun stuff helps us out. And do you want us to talk more about food? If you don't answer, we will.
Yeah.
If you do answer, we still probably will. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.